have a question for you. Have you ever stopped and thought about whether or not Bruce Wayne's Batman or Bruce Wayne was a good person? Don't mind the sirens, because that's just my life. But have you ever thought about that? A long time ago, I did a video actually diving deep into the analysis of whether or not Batman is a good role model. Many people have told me that he is their role model and that they do look up to this fictional character. So I was like, should you though? But going back to if Bruce Wayne is a good person, I understand that the whole saving and protecting Gotham City is right at the top of both Santa and God's respective lists as they judge this man. And they're like, he is A-okay in our book. But there are just times when Batman is just a messed up person. And sometimes for like no reason at all. He just does something that's really bad just because the sky is gray and really rainy and cloudy because we're in Gotham. Like no good justification for his actions. And I am okay with that because he's human. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I love to read and discuss this character in the first place, because he's human and he's flawed. And that's great. We're just going to discuss a little bit of his human side today, for better or worse. Welcome back, Gothamites. If you're new here, hi. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. As we celebrate the Caped Crusader, whether in these videos or on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever I decide I am going to be talking about this character, which is literally everywhere on the interwebs, we always like to highlight the good that Batman does for the DC universe. But it is also fitting, and I think part of my responsibility, to discuss the bad things that Batman has done within the DC Comics universe, to see if you guys even care. I do. I wanted to highlight the worst things that Batman has ever done. But for this video, I solely want to focus on the live action cinematic Batman films. And partially, I am not doing this. Wow, that's loud. I want to do this video not to drag the Dark Knight, because clearly he is our fave. But as I said in the intro, I love to see the human side of Bruce Wayne, because I think, from what many of you guys have told me over the years, is the big reason why you like Batman is because he is human and he has no superpowers, yet he is still the ballingest one within the DC Comics lexicon. Because of that, we should highlight the fact that he is human. And in some of these worst moments, I think we'll see his humanity, and it won't necessarily be illustrating that he's a bad person, but I think just showing that we all have our moments of weakness where we should do the right thing or say the right thing and we just don't. Like, I think that's very relatable, which is why I wanted to do this video. Before we get all into our feelings about Batman and being human and having feelings and emotions and all of that, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become part of this wonderful Gothamite community. Our first movie is the first time that Batman was ever on the big screen, and that is Columbia Pictures' 15-chapter black and white serials, all simply titled Batman, which hit the big screen in 1943. It's very good that this noir-themed ringtone is on, since we're in the 1940s. In this movie, Batman stars Lewis Wilson as Bruce Wayne, who is a US government agent, by the way, which, awesome. And him and Robin have to go up against the Japanese evil scientist, Dr. Daka. I just talked about this recently in a video. It was the last video where I gave a history of Alfred Pennyworth because DC decided to kill him, and I'm pissed. Well, that video is in the description if you do want to learn a little bit about Alfred Pennyworth's lovely life and why he is the greatest Batman family character of all time. Really, the worst thing that Batman and this entire film has done all just revolves around racism. This is all due to, of course, the writing of the script, and because we're in 1943, World War II, the world was just a little bit not nice to, you know, the Japanese, because wartime. I understand all of that historical context. I understand why you'll even see comic book covers for Batman and Detective Comics and World's Finest that talk about getting rid of those Japanazis. Like, I'm not making that up. That's literally on a book. I understand why the worst thing that Batman has done in this particular film is just throw out so many racial slurs. You would think that he was doing it for his health. You would think he thought that saying all of these things would lower his cholesterol. And really, you don't get to see a lot of it until like the very end, like the 15th chapter, when he really has to go up against Dr. Daka, but he says things like, oh look, a Jap. I'm sorry. I am not saying these things. The serial did, and I am just quoting it. So like, I know how the internet works, so I just am putting it out there. We are saying what Batman is saying about Dr. Daka. And then he also calls Dr. Daka things like Jap murderer and Jap devil and things like that. And you're just like, can't do that anymore. It's more not the fault of Batman himself. However, seeing Batman calling his enemy a Japanese murderer is like, it's still hard to see, especially in 2020. Although I do recommend checking out Batman 1943. Like, you can literally see the entire, I think like 3 hours, all 15 chapters on YouTube. All right, our next one is the next big Batman movie on the big screen, and that is from 1949, and is also a 15 chapter serial called Batman and Robin, which starred Robert Lowry as the Dark Knight. Now, in this film, Batman and Robin basically have to stop a hooded figure that is calling himself the Wizard. That's basically the plot. You also have a very lovely part that Vicky Vale plays in it because she was kind of brand new around this time. They're like, ooh, love interest, let's throw her in there. Now, there were a few big problems with this movie because, first of all, this movie is rough because it is crafted thanks to a budget lower than the Cats live action film Rotten Tomatoes movie score. And honestly, that is the biggest problem of this movie. Less money, more problems. It just is what it is. But rewatching this one, the worst thing that Batman does in this movie is literally Bruce Wayne poorly trying to hide his secret identity. He does an extraordinarily horrible job and tried to hide the fact that he's Batman. And budget does play partially in this part. Now, in the same thing in the 1943 Batman serials, you have one car. We are rolling with one Batmobile, one that plays as the civilian car to Bruce Wayne and another that plays as the Batmobile, because that is the budget we are working with. I get it, it's fine. However, as mentioned earlier, Vicky Vale is a large part of this movie, and she has seen and been in the car of both Bruce Wayne and Batman. And when she has the audacity to ask a logical ass question like, does Bruce Wayne know that you're driving his car? Asking Batman, because we're in the same car. He cannot give her a straight answer. And I'm like, you need to do better. Oh, and also, there's this one part in the movie where he has to hide his identity to go in and fight some crooks, but he doesn't have his cowl and his cape and his outfit, and so he gets literally like bandages, like rags, and covers his eyes up to like here, and he just is like, I'm good to go, my identity is covered. Like, no, It's not. It's the same kind of thing with the whole Clark Kent wears the glasses and the hat, and then when he takes it off and it has like, oh, where did Clark go? Like, same thing. I don't understand. Little things like that happen throughout this movie that just shows he does not care if you know that he's Batman. He just doesn't. He does not give enough to do this vigilante lifestyle. Like, he just doesn't. And that to me is the worst part of Batman 1949. I'm so sorry. Our next film is from 1966, and it is a spin-off of the very, very popular live-action TV show. And literally, this movie came out like 6 months after the show debuted on ABC. And of course, that is Batman, starring Adam West and Burt Ward as the dynamic duo. And of course, the lovely, lovely, lovely colorful Rogues Gallery, which this movie is literally about Batman and Robin having to stop the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, and Catwoman from literally threatening the lives of everyone, not just in Gotham City, but the world, with their machine that if it shoots at you, you will dehydrate and disintegrate into very colorful dust. So the dynamic duo just has to make sure that, like, the world doesn't get dehydrated. Like, that's such a good, like, Dasani sponsor, like, missed opportunity. While the plot and just everything about it just screams American pop art lifestyle, and you just gotta love it, and I personally do love it. I suppose because it's such a silly and fun film, the worst thing that Batman did in this movie wasn't even running around with a bomb, like about to, like, blow up nuns and children and ducks and the madness that was that scene. No. The worst thing Batman did in this movie was, while he was being attacked by a rubber shark that was relentlessly not letting go of this man's leg, and then Batman says, "Hand me down the shark repellent bat spray," and Robin was like, "I got you, fam." Out of the other sprays on the wall, which I love that there's just so many different options to, like, handle this sea life. Batman gets the shark repellent bat spray, sprays the shark as if it's like a spider that won't die, and you use half of the Raid can bottle. And the shark not only falls into the water, but it explodes, fam. And that's the worst thing that Batman did in this movie, was blow up a shark. He didn't have to blow him up and kill him. He blew him up. What a horrible death. Like, ew. I know that it just adds to the ridiculousness of this campy venture that Batman took in the mid-1960s, and I absolutely love it. He blew up a shark with a spray. So that's already dangerous to have, like, on a helicopter, but, you know, whatever. That's all I could think. That could be, like, the worst thing, that you blew up a shark. Why, Batman, why? We're on to our next movie, and that is a big jump from Adam West's portrayal in Batman, and that is, of course, Tim Burton's 1989 live-action, blockbuster, life-changing film, Batman, starring Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne / Batman, Jack Nicholson as Jack Napier / Joker, Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale. It's just, Michael Gough begins as Alfred. It's just iconic in so many ways, and I have done different videos celebrating last year's 30th anniversary about this film, so if you are interested to learn more fun facts about this movie, I will put that video in the description below. But this movie brought Batman back to its dark roots on the big screen, and we're stepping away from the campiness and the lightness and blowing up sharks and all of those things, which, fine, but I would assume that the worst thing that Batman did in 1989's Batman is cause the death of the Joker. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, is that really a bad thing? In this cinematic universe, Jack Napier who would become the Joker in the future is the one that when Bruce was a young boy, gunned down Thomas and Martha Wayne in the alley. You hear my dog? That's Gohan. There's nothing even happening. No one's here. I'm literally at the house by myself. But yes, Joker evidently is the reason why not only Bruce Wayne's parents are dead, but that Batman came into existence. So obviously when Batman realizes you're the person who killed my parents, I don't see how there's a problem that he shouldn't die. And fans were already upset at the fact that Joker was the one that killed Batman's parents, because before this in comics, that was totally not a thing. Just wasn't. At the end, when there was a little scruffle and Batman using what I feel like is part of his own iconography, a Gotham City stone gargoyle, to stop Joker from whisking away off of that helicopter and literally falling to his death. Batman killed Joker. You can't tell me that Batman wasn't a huge part of Joker's demise in this movie. While people want to make excuses or say, well, no, it was the gargoyle's fault or whatever. I don't know. This isn't the first time within this Burton-verse cinematic world that Batman has killed somebody, which is a great segue into our next film. Next one is Tim Burton's Batman sequel live-action film that came out in 1992, and that is Batman Returns, which has Keaton reprising his role as Bruce Wayne / Batman, and it also includes Danny DeVito's Oswald Cobblepot, aka Penguin, and Michelle Pfeiffer's Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. She's just so perfect. First of all, if you have not seen this movie, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, you have to know that it is one of the most underrated Christmas movies of all time, because this whole movie is set during Christmas. Did it have to be? Hell no! But are we doing this? Sure are! Is that even proper English? Sure am. Sure are. I don't know, I'm tired today. But I'm excited to talk about this. You can probably guess what the worst thing that Batman did in Batman Returns was, because it is one of the most iconic moments of the entire movie. It's even like a meme. Like, as Batman is fighting penguins, henchmen, goons, thugs, whatever you'd like to call them, there is one where Batman comes across this huge guy that's like double his size. Punching him just doesn't work. Batman decided, did someone just eat shit in front of my house? Oh my god. This kid is like on his skateboard and just literally ate shit on my sidewalk, like right in front of the house. Okay, he has friends to like help him, because I literally was gonna like go outside and see if he was okay, because that looked really bad anyway. You can't hit the guy and knock him down, so what do? What does Batman do? He puts an explosive, a ticking time bomb literally across his stomach, chest, whole area, and then kicks him into this manhole and walks away, and it goes boom. He literally blew up this man. What is it with Batman and explosives? But the best part of that whole thing is that he was smiling the whole time. Knowing this man is dead in this hole, he had a grin on his face. What's the best fact about all of this is that him strapping this onto the guy and him falling into the hole and explode, this was not originally in the script. Actually, one of the writers on the film, Daniel Waters, he even complained about this scene and how he thinks that it takes away from seeing Batman as a vigilante who just doesn't randomly like to kill thugs. We're already getting into that mentality of, I don't want to kill, even though like the movie prior to this, he killed not just Joker, but a few other people. If you're like upset that Keaton did this, he killed a lot of people in Burton's movies. I just say, go rewatch it. Moving along into our next film, we are going into the Schumacher part of this Batman franchise, because whether or not you want to accept it, the Burton-verse and the Schumacher-verse are all one universe. I know there's different directors, different tones, different Batman, but it's all one universe. We're getting into the Schumacher part, and that is from 1995, and that is, of course, the live-action film Batman Forever, which stars a new Batman now, and that is Val Kilmer. And it also has Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey's Two-Face and Riddler, which I think is like the best part of the movie. Just watching them be fools. Like, that to me is just fantastic. Batman has to stop Edward Nygma, who is a very upset ex-Wayne Enterprises employee who has created this device that literally can brainwash and manipulate all the Gothamites within Gotham City. And so as Riddler and as Two-Face, they come together and they're just gonna try to take over Gotham. And Batman's like, I'm so sorry, I can't have that. Along the way, we not only get a new love interest in Dr. Chase Meridian, who is Nicole Kidman, but we also get the introduction of Dick Grayson and Kris O'Donnell, who at the end of this movie will become Robin. And that is where I think the worst thing that Batman has done in Batman Forever is literally being, I don't know how else to say it, a shitty welcome wagon for Dick Grayson, who just lost his parents. We have the usual Dick Grayson tragically loses his parents at the circus because, of course, that's just part of his mythology. And Bruce takes him in. That's what he does. He takes in orphan children, and then later on he like molds them into being crime fighters. That is like his thing, right? Obviously, Bruce just is having such a hard time keeping secrets within this film universe. I don't understand. Dick Grayson discovers that Bruce Wayne is Batman and discovers the Batcave. So of course, being a young, vengeful man, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go with you and we're gonna go and kill Two-Face. Like, what am I wearing? What's my name gonna be? Like, I'm geeked. Like, what am I riding? Am I driving the Batmobile? Am I getting a new car? Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And Bruce was so mean to him. Just with him trying to help. And even Alfred, who of course Alfred is a real one, who helps the entire Batman family. Sorry, Bruce, I know you're like my son, but these are children, you know? Like, we gotta help them out. I love the part where Kris O'Donnell is all geeked and like, oh, I'm so excited to like be your whatever. He doesn't know the name yet. I love that he even says Nightwing. It's like, thank you for like just saying Nightwing, because like Nightwing's amazing. He being a Nightwing fangirl for life. And he's like, oh, who's gonna stop me? And a broken down, like just was in a horrible fight. Alfred is bandaging him up because that's what Alfred does, because Alfred is the greatest Batman family character of all time, stands up and says, I can stop you. And it's like, oh, for real? Like, I don't understand why there was so much animosity between them. Batman's like, all right, since Alfred basically told me I should be nice to you, here's a costume. Here's the, like, you know, it was very like, sure, we're partners. Like, he didn't want to be partners with that boy. I just wish he treated him better. That's all. I just think he was just a crappy surrogate father. Since we are talking about Schumacher and still talking about Kris O'Donnell's Robin and Batman being really weird around him, let's go into the 1997 film. That was directed by Joel Schumacher and was Batman and Robin. Now, please, for the love of Thor, do not leave in the comments below the worst thing that Batman has ever done was 1997's Batman and Robin. I get it, okay? That is not the most favorited Batman movie. Safe to say. Batman and Robin stars a new Batman, George Clooney, and we still have Kris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson slash Robin. We still have Michael Gough as Alfred, and sadly he is very ill and dying in this movie, and that makes me really, really sad. But our villains, oh, the villains, come on. We have Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. We have Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. I mean, just, I know people want to say, oh, it's so crappy, but it literally pays homage to the Silver Age of Batman, to the Adam West TV show to even creators such as Carmen Infantino and Irv Novick and Gardner Fox and Dick Spray and all of those great figures that made the comics that we love. That movie literally was celebrating that era, which is why it was silly. And am I saying that it made sense completely to wrap that into a universe that had something like Batman Returns in it? You know what I mean? I'm not, but that's just what it was. You have to respect it for what the creators wanted it to be. You can't just trash it just because it's bright and colorful and pun for the whole family. Definitely, out of all of the other madness that happens in this movie, the worst thing that Batman had to have done in Batman and Robin, in 97's Batman and Robin, is literally fight his ward, his adopted son, over some poisonous strange, and then still stopped him when he was trying to help him catch Mr. Freeze. But more importantly, they fought over Poison Ivy, which of course she used her pheromones to make you fall in love, and that is her bit. Like, I get it, that's the shtick. Like, that's the fork she knows. Like, I understand. But they literally, throughout the movie, were fighting over her, and Batman should know better. Now, Dick Grayson is a young man who was eyeing Babs the moment she walked to the front door of Wayne Manor, which that whole storyline about her being the niece to Alfred, and that's not my favorite thing in the entire world since I love Babs to death. But like, I mean, he's a young man who's just horny all the time. Of course, he's gonna think Poison Ivy is awesome even without the pheromones. But you a grown-ass man, Bruce. You know that this woman, like, I don't understand. You need to do better and respect your adopted son and get him all good to go. And now you got Batgirl thrown into the picture and Alfred's dying. There is no time to be chasing some ass. There's none. And that's where you faulted. Camera battery died, so had to stop for a minute. But I got some crack or coffee. Jack in the Box's coffee is literally crack to me. I don't know why, but it just is. It's so good. Yes, what were we talking about before my battery died? Oh, Batman and Robin. Yes. The moral of the story, even though there are tons of moral of the stories that should be part of this, but definitely choose cowls and capes over seeing if the curtain matches the drapes. You know what I mean? Like, let's have some priorities here. Don't let them femme fatales get you when you should be with your ward and your bat family. And no, like, eyes on the prize here. The next one is after an 8-year hiatus due to the critically bad response to Schumacher's Batman and Robin, we get Saint Christopher Nolan, who decided he will bring Batman back onto the big screen, and we see that in 2005's Batman Begins, and we have a new Caped Crusader in Christian Bale, who plays Bruce Wayne / Batman. In this movie, we are wearing out our trade paperback copies of books such as Frank Miller's Batman Year One, and definitely Denny O'Neil's The Man Who Falls. Because not only do we get to see Bruce travel abroad and train with basically Ra's al Ghul, but then when he comes back to Gotham and he's in his very early stages of being the Batman, he has to go up against Professor Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, who wants to put his fear experiments and toxins all over Gotham City. It is just messy. Now for this movie, I had a couple of options that I thought were the worst thing that Batman did in Batman Begins, but I suppose if it all comes down to it, letting Ra's al Ghul die. I'm not gonna say he killed him. That's Talia's job. But letting him die in that final altercation they had on the train, I think that was probably the worst thing. Not because Ra's did not deserve it. I think it's interesting that they allowed that to happen, that they didn't have Batman save him in this Nolanverse that it's now known as, where the whole no guns, no killing, that was really hardcore planted in this franchise. And that's where the big notion of, oh, Batman doesn't kill, Batman doesn't use guns, that's how, especially the newer fans of Batman, that's where they got it from, is this Nolanverse. And yet in the very first movie, Batman pretty much led Ra's al Ghul to his death. You can, I suppose, argue that with Joker for Tim Burton's Batman. While these men obviously deserve to die and should not just be walking around Gotham or wherever they want to in the world, is it Batman's place to exact that fate onto them? Is that part of his moral code? All of these things you can go down a rabbit hole and discuss, but because this is within the Nolanverse, I would say the worst thing that Batman did in Batman Begins is letting Ra's al Ghul die. It didn't save him. The next one, I'm just gonna quickly say, the next movie is the sequel to this Christopher Nolan film, and that is 2008's The Dark Knight, which has Christian Bale reprising his role as Bruce Wayne and Batman, and also has Heath Ledger as the Joker. Recently, like the other night recently, just watch this film again. Obviously, the most tragic, I think, part of that entire movie is the trying to save Rachel and trying to save Harvey Dent, and who goes where, and then ending up that it didn't freaking matter, that he blew up everything. That, I think, is the part that shows me what the worst thing Batman does, was just listening to Joker. Like, taking his word, trying to give Joker the credibility, even though, sure, the places that he said, these addresses were real places and everything, it was switched. Yet they trusted as if he was telling them the truth, that he wouldn't manipulate them. And I would just figure, after speaking with Joker, especially in that now iconic interrogation scene, that Batman would know, well, sure, desperate to find Rachel Dawes, the love of his life within this universe, and not wanting Harvey to die either, and so Gordon and GCPD are trying to do it. Like, I understand the urgency and like having to go, but it seems like it's a failure on Batman's part that he just decided, I'm just gonna listen to you and not think that what you're telling me isn't true. I feel like Batman's logical side would have figured out something where, I don't know, Joker was just such a chaotic force that people were just gonna die regardless because it's Joker. But I do think Batman giving him the benefit of the doubt, and then that ended up with Rachel dying, and of course that transforming Harvey Dent into Two-Face after the explosion. I feel like that was a little bit of a failure on his part, but that's just me. It's fine. It's totally cool. This last part of the Dark Knight trilogy, which was the movie that was the easiest to see what the worst thing Batman did for me. Christopher Nolan's last film within this 3-movie series, The Dark Knight Rises, has Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne Batman, and we also focus on the terrorist Bane, who is played by Tom Hardy, and his systematic scheme to take over Gotham, and you learn about the other players in it, which include Talia al Ghul, and that stems from her vengeance of Batman killing Ra's al Ghul, which we discussed earlier. What I love about this movie is not just because my favorite villain, Bane, is in it, and I love Tom Hardy's Bane, it's just amazing. And all of the source material that was used for this movie, such as Batman Nightfall and Batman No Man's Land. But what is the killer that always, even watching it, because I literally watch this movie all the time. The worst thing that Batman did in The Dark Knight Rises is his treatment of Alfred. Like the biggest of all, not listening to Alfred when he said, after 8 years you coming back, you're gonna come and fight this man Bane that no one can beat. You're literally just writing your own death sentence. and you're not going to listen to me when I'm telling you the facts of this man's life and how he is just a brute and will destroy you. And the fact that Bruce is like, nah, I got this. Oh, I got it. I'm good. And then Alfred's like, all right, then I'm outie. Like, I have to go. I can't do it. Not only that, but at the very end, which I hope, if you've seen this movie, you know the ending, where Alfred thinks that Bruce Wayne's Batman died when he took the bomb away from Gotham City and it exploded. To Alfred and literally anyone else, they thought he was dead. So Alfred feels like he failed as a surrogate father. He failed Thomas and Martha for protecting their son. And then all of a sudden, Alfred's like, I'm going to go on my holiday, like he discusses in this movie. And then he just sees Bruce sitting there, chilling with Selina Kyle. And I understand the symbolism. Don't yell at me. That's what he has always wanted for Bruce, is to put away the Batman stuff and to go be happy with a wife and have like a normal, regular life and family, not dealing with being Batman. And that's what he's always wanted for Bruce. But you couldn't pick up a phone, something to tell your basically father that, hey man, I'm good. I set up the autopilot, like, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Like, no respect for Alfred. That's one of the worst things he's ever done on this whole list that we're talking about. So I would say that would be the worst within the entire trilogy. The last live action films that we are discussing are part of the DC Extended Universe. Of course, we are starting with 2016's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was directed by Zack Snyder and starred our then new cinematic Batman, Ben Affleck. My thing that I've always seen as the worst thing that Batman has done, or the worst part, I think, of Batman, not just in this movie, but the entire DC Extended Universe. This Ben's particular Batman, how his character has not been playing Batman. Just trying to be clear. His character development was such trash that it made rooting for him and understanding his motives seem moot. As you can see in the title, Batman, Bruce Wayne's Batman, sees Superman as a threat after Superman and General Zod's fight that literally destroyed lots of things. Lots of collateral damage happened. You know, lots of people died. Let's not pretend it didn't happen. For most, like 80%, 85% of Batman v Superman, all Bruce is talking about is that we have to destroy him. He is a threat to not only Gotham, but to the world and society, and he has to be taken out. That is his MO the entire time. That is what he trains for. That is what fuels him the entire movie. So I'm like, okay, I'm with it. We get to the big climax fighting scene that's ripped straight from the pages of Batman: The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson and Lynn Verley. And we get this epic fight. Ben has his suit on. He's fighting Superman, and he's doing what he has set his mind to. What logically he sees this is the only way to protect the city I love. And I'm not even going to add it's because of the whole they both have the same mother's name, because that's just whatever. I'm kind of over that at this point. What I don't understand is that even after learning that or whatever, and that did strike a change and make him step away from just finishing on Superman, he should have killed Superman. The worst thing that Batman did in BVS is not killing Superman. And the only reason why I say that, I'm not saying that Superman should die and whatever, but just focusing on Bruce. That growth that he would need to learn from this man is a danger to society, to, hey, he can even help society. that jump gave me whiplash and it didn't make sense. So not thought out properly that I would have rather Batman do what he needs to do, kill this man, and then we figure it out later and have more movies to develop that later. Then you're going into Justice League. We'll talk about Suicide Squad in just a second. But if you go into Justice League, Batman thinks that Superman is like his best friend and the best guy out of everybody. Everybody, even Wonder Woman, who is a queen. Like, it's so crazy. I suppose the worst thing that Batman did in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was not be the Batman that he portrayed throughout the entire movie. It was like, plot twist, I'm not gonna stick with this character development. F that. Granted, I liked Batman v Superman. It's just there were certain parts, and I think that's the thing that bothered me the most. It's just Ben's very rushed character development that literally did not make sense at all. I like all the DC movies, I do. I own them all, I like them all. It's fine. There are faults in it, and those just have to be pointed out. So that was Batman v Superman. Now, I'm only briefly just gonna throw out Suicide Squad because it was a cameo, first of all. Like, he was literally in this movie, Batman, which came out the same year as it did with Batman v Superman, just in August, in 2016. He was in there for like 10 minutes. It's kind of hard because he's only in there for such a short period of time that it's hard to decide what's the worst thing he did. Him arresting Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, like literally in front of his daughter. I think for some reason that bothered me. His daughter's like, no, like crying, like it's really emotional, and he's basically taking him away from his daughter. And I know he's a criminal and an assassin. I get it. He's a marksman. I get it. I do. Batman stopping Deadshot in the alley and like doing it in front of his daughter and like kind of scarring his daughter for life probably. That has to be it, right? We're on our last one and I gotta hurry because this battery is just not my friend today. The last live action cinematic Batman, it is Justice League, my friends. 2017. Zack Snyder. Depending on who you ask within this community, you'll say Joss Whedon. I don't care. I'm not into the toxic stuff, but Zack Snyder, his ensemble movies that had Ben Affleck's Batman, but also literally had Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman. You know, there were lots of different issues with this movie, and I'm trying to pinpoint Batman's role and what was the worst thing that he did in Justice League. Honestly, the worst thing he did was when he had that conversation with Diana about Steve Trevor and hurting her feelings. And he gets so upset that she literally like pushes him and like hurts him, because I think he was just being kind of a jackass. It was just being mean for no reason. We were talking about bringing Superman back to life and everything, and I think he didn't have to go ham that way. We're already in a really bad state, so why are you doing this? I don't know. I hope this ending films because I'm not really sure if it is. Thank you guys so much for watching this video about the worst things that Batman has ever done in live action cinematic movies. I liked doing this list because I think it is a fun way to look at Bruce Wayne the person and his humanity and his flaws, and a lot of the worst things that he's done in these particular films deal with him being a real person just like you and me. So I hope you were able to relate to him in some way. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a bad thumbs up. As always, all of my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at History of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out the rest of my Batman videos on this channel, and of course, please subscribe to this channel so you can be a part of this Batman community. It would mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will have more History of the Batman soon right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye.
What?